afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Institute of South Asian Studies, South Asian University, I extend a very, very warm welcome to each one of you, and especially Professor Qayyum, the Chairman Governing Board, SAU. It is indeed a very special moment for us as we usher in the annual Distinguished Lecture Series with the inaugural lecture by our Honourable President, Professor K.K. Aggarwal. Thank you, sir, for agreeing to be part of this afternoon. I now invite Professor Sanjay Chaturvedi, Director, Institute of South Asian Studies, to present a bouquet to the Honourable President, SAU. I now invite the Acting Vice President, Professor Senthil K. Venugopal, to present a bouquet to the Honourable Chairman, Governing Board, SAU. Thank you once again. I'm very, very happy. I would now request Professor Sanjay Chaturvedi, Director, Institute of South Asian Studies, to please invite the distinguished speaker and the chair, Dr. Professor Chaturvedi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shweta. The Honourable President of South Asian University, Professor K.K. Aggarwal, the Honourable Chairman of the Governing Board of South, Professor Ziaul Qayyum, Professor Senthil Venugopal, Acting Vice President South, Professor Muhammad Abulesh, Acting Registrar, South Asian University, esteemed colleagues, and my dear research scholars and students of this wonderful university. On behalf of the Institute of South Asian Studies and on my own behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We have assembled here this afternoon to initiate the ICES Annual Distinguished Lecture Series on Academic Excellence and listen to the inaugural lecture by one of the most distinguished and accomplished academicians and administrators who has dedicated his whole life to the relentless pursuit of excellence in higher education, and who is the inspiration behind the series, Professor K.K. Aggarwal, the Honourable President of South Asian University. At the core of the rationale behind the South Asian University is South Asianness, a socio-spatial intellectual consciousness of regional togetherness anchored in the uniqueness of the subcontinent. This vision invokes a unity of purpose and underlines the imperative of a concerted collective regional effort to realize ecologically sustainable development and comprehensive security for all. The overarching challenge facing the South Asian University is to curate and nurture a unique identity that distinguishes its mandate and mission from other centers of excellence focused on South Asia in various parts of the globe. The SAU Regulation 8 devotes itself to the Institute of South Asian Studies. The regulation underlines the need of the hour to, I quote, identify and focus research efforts in areas of shared concerns of SAC member states, unquote. Whereas in the academic program for Phase 1 proposed by the Academic Task Force of SAU, which was finalized in 2010, after the 6th Steering Committee meeting, the Institute of South Asian Studies is identified as one of the quote-unquote novel concepts of South. It also illuminates the uniqueness of the subcontinent on the larger canvas of continental and maritime Asia as an integrated ecological geographical region, and I quote, from the Himalayas to the Indian Ocean, unquote, characterized by, I quote, a common weather system dominated by southwestern monsoon, common river system with shared rivers that flow from one country to the other, a long common coastline, and indeed a shared cultural heritage, unquote. The rationale behind the setting up of the Institute of South Asian Studies is being described as follows, and I quote, "It will be immensely useful that the South Asian University has a competent and rigorous think tank to mull over such shared issues from a regional perspective and attempt to evolve shared approaches for solving such problems. Such an institute may also focus on sharing of experiences of different South Asian countries in public policy and governance issues. The list of shared concerns can go on, and so can the strategic approaches to address them," unquote. We are truly beholden to the Honourable President for agreeing to deliver the inaugural lecture on academic excellence. He needs no introduction. Right from the moment he took over as the full-time president of our university, he has been leading us by example with his incredible energy and formidable experience, meticulously looking into each and every aspect of academic excellence and administrative efficiency that will take South Asian University to its rightful place in the community of world-class institutions. It appears obvious that for him, excellence is not just an objective to be achieved in a given time frame, but a robust and relentless commitment to the mission to be achieved by the tireless efforts of all stakeholders, especially the teachers and students. We have never felt so rejuvenated, reassured, and hopeful before. Sir, please allow me the honor and privilege to introduce your incredible and inspiring academic journey as briefly as I can, especially to our young research scholars. It is like touching the proverbial tip of the iceberg, excellence personified in every possible sense of the term. President Sir obtained his bachelor's degree in electronics and communications engineering from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and his master's in advanced electronics from Kurukshetra University, topping both the examinations. He earned his PhD in reliability, evaluation, and optimization from Kurukshetra University. He has had a distinguished career of more than 27 years as an academic at the National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra, where he was engaged in teaching and research activities in computer engineering and information technology. He has authored several books, including Reliability Engineering and Software Engineering, many of which have undergone several rounds of reprints. Published more than 400 research papers in the domain of electronics and computer engineering in academic journals of repute, about half of which are international journals. An incredible range of administrative experience and contributions are to his credit. He was the chairman of the Department of Electronics, Communication and Computer Engineering and Dean Academics at Regional Engineering College, Kurukshetra University. He was also the director of the Center for Excellence for Manpower Development in Reliability Engineering, which was established by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Before joining Indraprastha University, he was the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Guru Jamweshwar University, Hisar. As its former chairman, he served the National Board of Accreditation, that is NAC India. He was the founding Vice Chancellor of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi, where he served in his capacity for 10 years from 1998 to 2008. He has traveled globally and he has delivered lectures at several universities, including University of Berkeley, US, University of Cincinnati, US, Florida State University, US, University of Birmingham, and so on. The list is very long. He has also had impact on the industrial world. The industry has been consulting him from time to time, most notable being his contribution to the reliability analysis for PSLV, that is the Polar Satellite Vehicle of the Indian Space Mission. He has received numerous honors and awards. He was honored by the Reliability Society of IEEE USA for his services as the guest editor of a special issue on the state of reliability efforts of the Indian subcontinent. He was declared the Man of the Decade, Man of the Century, and Man of Millennium by the American Bibliographical Institute. We are truly, truly honored, sir, not only to have you as our president, as our leader, as the head of the family, but the Institute of South Asian Studies is so grateful that you kindly agreed to deliver the inaugural lecture under the series on academic excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, by now I'm sure you must have been touched by the majestic presence of Professor Qayyum, who is a chair of the governing body. What a great pleasure and what a great honor to have him today with us. Let me also have the great privilege of saying a few words. Again, it's very difficult to introduce a man of such formidable experience and caliber. Just a few words, if I may. Professor Qayyum is currently the Executive Director of the Higher Education Commission, the regulatory body for the higher education sector in Pakistan. With over 32 years of experience in teaching, research, HEC administration, and IT governance, he leads the mission of that commission to ensure quality, innovation, and excellence in higher education, and to provide strategic and financial support to the sector through federal government funding. As the Executive Director, he is responsible for the IT infrastructure and services of the HEC and prepares strategic plans for various development initiatives for the higher education sector. His internationally acclaimed expertise is in applied artificial intelligence and its related areas, and he has been involved in several initiatives to promote research and innovation in his domain. Before joining the HEC, he held various leadership roles as advisors, founding rector, and vice chancellor in some of the Pakistan's leading institutions of higher learning. He became one of the youngest vice chancellors ever in Pakistan to assume these responsibilities. He has served as the vice chancellor of Allama Iqbal Open University and the University of Gujarat. To his credit, he has also established the campus of FAST, F-A-S-T, Capital National Universities at Faisalabad. He did his PhD from University of Leeds, and he has been an active academician and a proactive researcher. His interest is in computing research, artificial intelligence, with a focus on machine learning and information retrieval. He is passionate about transforming the higher education landscape in Pakistan and beyond, and creating a culture of learning, collaboration, and impact. Many sincere thanks, Professor Ziaul Qayyum, for accepting our invitation to chair the lecture and preside over today's proceedings. May I, through you, Mr. Chairman, sir, invite the Honourable President of South Asian University, Professor K.K. Aggarwal, to deliver his distinguished lecture on academic excellence. Sir.
Professor Zia Qayyum, Chairperson of the Governing Board of the South Asian University, but more than that, very great friend, which I have discovered in the last 7-8 months. My very distinguished colleagues from South Asian University and dear research students. Right from day one of taking over as president of this university, I have been feeling that the USP of this university is missing. And one of the greatest strengths of USP I found in the concept of the university itself, which says two novel concepts of this university. One is Institution of South Asian Studies, and second is interdisciplinary research. So this university was created primarily for these two major objectives. Others were supposed to be supporting objectives to these main objectives. Somewhere down the line, I think minor objectives took over and major objectives were subsumed. And now I think it's time for us to go back and correct the situation and make sure that we serve the purpose for which we were meant for. Friends, I have been a former student of quality and reliability, and I know it's a very difficult concept. Everybody talks about quality, but to understand quality is not easy. I remember quality can be interpreted in almost any manner you like. Professor Chaturvedi also said that we are trying to be in the process of academic excellence to make it a world-class university. I remember, I think about 3 months ago, after I had joined SAU, a reasonably good university of India invited me for a talk on how to become a world-class university. And I started with, well, you have invited me to talk about how to be a world-class university. Unfortunately, I do not know what to tell you how to become a world-class university, because there is no definition of world-class university anywhere written down. So I don't still know how do people say I am a world-class university. I think it's more of a perception than the hard facts by which we can say that X is a world-class university and Y is not. So I told them I can only tell you how to become a good university. And if you practice that honesty, one day you will wake up that the world has recognized you as a world-class university. That's the only secret I can tell you about world-class university, how to be a good university, better university every day. And if you practice that, I can assure you, world will label you as world-class university, because there is no agency which labels you as world-class university. I wish that is true for my present university too, that one day we wake up to be a world-class university. And for that I will share some ideas in this inaugural lecture. I am grateful to Professor Chaturvedi for inviting me for this inaugural lecture on a concept which I believe is extremely important for South Asian University, and that is where we have tried to revive this institution of South Asian Studies. And academic excellence, without academic excellence, I think a university should just not exist. I mean, it's, if I use a harsh sentence, it is criminal to have a university which is not on the path to academic excellence. I still don't say what is the goal of a university, and I also believe very strongly excellence is a journey. Excellence is not a goal, it's not a light post. I say you will become excellent when you reach here. Academic excellence is a journey, and if you are on the road to quality, you are on the path to academic excellence. So my stress all through in my research work has been excellence is a mindset. Excellence is not a mathematical formula. And I remember in the initial days of talking about quality as a mathematical term, an encyclopedia like British Encyclopedia has written quality cannot be measured. And he further elaborates it by saying, just as beauty cannot be measured, just as honesty cannot be measured. We do say he or she is beautiful, but we never say he is 97% beautiful and he is 94% beautiful. We never try to quantify this. We say so and so leader appears to be honest. We never say he is 87% honest and the other is 78% honest. So in that light, the encyclopedia even said quality cannot be measured in numbers. But gradually, then the famous saying of Lord Kelvin always comes to the mind: what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. Therefore, if you want to improve, you have to measure. Unless you measure it, you can't improve it, and you go in the mode of self-deception. You keep on saying, yes, yes, we are quality, but nobody knows what it is. Therefore, measurement is a must, and therefore we decided on measuring. I again repeat, it's a concept which is very difficult to measure. In the very early days, one of the earliest case studies on quality is a very beautiful but a trivial case study. Some of you youngsters may not know, but my senior colleagues might know. When the electricity used to fail, we used to have a hand fan. We used to buy and you do like this to just give some fresh air to your face. Somebody went to a shop to buy that hand fan and said, this is 15 rupees, this is 20, 25. He says, okay, 25. He says, this is the best. So he purchased that and came home. Next day when he was trying to use it, it just broke down. He went back to the shop. He said, I found the best one which you sold me, and it has broken. He said, it should not have broken. Said, but it has broken. Here is the broken hand pan. He said, but how did you use it? He said, what nonsense. The way it is supposed to be used. I just moved the hand pan like this. He said, that's where you made the mistake. You are supposed to hold the hand fan and move your neck like this. Then it would not have broken. Now the point is, when you talk about quality, anybody can shoot on anybody, on anything, and that is the concept where universities enjoy the most. They start believing their quality, and everybody else starts criticizing everyone else, and the word goes on. And that's a serious problem which is on. And because I taught this subject for 30 years, had so much research in this, I mean, so much on a satellite, we have to talk about problem. I can't even tell you, when we design a satellite, how much quality we mathematically goal at. Because very high goal will run the countries out of the budget. It's just not possible. You will laugh at the figure if I tell you the secret figure. Because quality costs. And you cannot talk any institution without the costs in mind. So costs will have to be kept in mind, and therefore quality has to be. I remember the world had about 100 conferences, just to measure the quality of the electric supply. All of us know it is 230 volts, 50 cycles per second. But if it is 229, do you reject it? If yes, it will never pass the test. So then somebody said, okay, 230 plus minus 5%. Well, world by and large accepted it. But then somebody said, if once a year it becomes 230 plus minus 8, will you say it's a bad electric supply? Again a bad question. Then somebody said, okay, 230 plus minus 5%, but it's allowed to exceed the zone for 10 hours in a year. Then somebody said, if 230 becomes 430 even for 5 seconds, all refrigerators will go away, all fans will be. So then it was said, okay, up to this is fine, and so on and so forth. So why I am trying to tell you this is, such a simple thing as electric supply needed about 100 conferences in the world to decide when do we call it a good electric supply. It's that difficult a concept of quality. When it comes to education, it's still worse. Because education is a very intangible phenomenon. It's very difficult to define the quality of an institution. It's very difficult to define the quality of a graduate. And therefore the debate goes on. And therefore, I again repeat, academic excellence means if you are trying to do your best, if you are trying to make sure that today you are better than yesterday, if you are trying to take a pledge, tomorrow you will be better than today, it's fine. And then everything will be fine at the end of the year, 10 years, 5 years down the line, whatever. But one day everything will be fine if this is done. I was reading a book on problem solving. It's about several years ago. And the title of the book was very interesting. It's a small book of about 100 pages. It says, you can eat an elephant. The title of the book itself is very interesting. You can eat an elephant. And when I open the second page beyond the title, it says, provided you know how to slice it properly. If you can slice the elephant properly, you can eat an elephant. That's the crux of problem solving. Whatever problem you have, if you can, most of you are my research students here, so I'm telling you, never be frightened of a problem. Just try to see, can you make up a complex problem into a set of smaller problems, into a set of similar problems. Whatever subject you are, mathematics, sciences, art, sociology, whatever. The crux of the research would be, can you reframe the problems to the level which appears to be solvable, and then you are free to go ahead and do that. And so it says, you can eat an elephant provided you know how to slice it properly. And I normally don't read, but I found something very interesting to read. It says on page 47 of that book, Slice 47, it says, quality is a multiplicity of practical interpretation of your definition of quality. It's a practical interpretation of your definition of quality. So quality can mean, listen carefully, quality can mean being polite on the telephone. Quality can mean getting things right first time, every time. Quality can mean aiming for zero defects. Quality can mean being flexible and responsive to change. Quality can mean delivering on time and in full. Quality can mean tackling the source, not the symptoms of a problem. Quality can mean admitting your most valuable resource is your people. Quality can mean having a cost-effective, workable quality system. Quality can mean measuring the progress of quality improvement. Quality can mean solving problems by discussion, not conflicts. Quality can mean you have never to say I'm sorry. Quality can mean improving your own performance. Quality can mean cooperating and not confronting. So if quality can have so many definitions, I think if you practice these 10 sentences, university is functioning very well. And any university in the world is functioning very well. If just these 10 sub-slices of a slice of that book are followed, and it says quality does not just mean making things for the top of the world, for the top of the ranking. You need not aim to be number one university in the world all the time. Quality means providing graduates that do what they are supposed to do. I emphasize this again. Providing graduates to do what they are supposed to do. And unfortunately, most of the universities never even write on a piece of paper what our graduates are supposed to do. And that's our outcome-based education, to which I'll come to on the journey to excellence. And it says quality is important only for two reasons. You care about your students and the survival of your university. If you don't care, then don't waste money and time on quality. You will never be able to achieve it. It says quality is never an accident, but the result of intelligent effort is the quality. And that's what I thought I'd start with. Quality will not come by seminars or lectures or reading books. Quality will come by working with the excellence in mind all the time, and then only we go to that definition. Friends, so that is where I feel when I talk about academic excellence, you have to keep in mind academic excellence is a relative concept. Every human being cannot have the same quality. Every product cannot have the same quality. If it were a Gillette blade has 170 patents. Can you just imagine 170 patents on a blade? That's what they have done, and that is where they make money. They are able to sell a blade for 50 rupees because they know anybody cannot copy it. So that's their quality. But on the other hand, you may have a reasonably good blade in 5 rupees. So quality is not a universal definition. Excellence is a journey as you define, and therefore it's very important for us to define what we want. I was reading a study where somebody from UK was deputed school teacher. Incidentally, I will not talk about computer science or my subject. I'll talk in general so that all of you are with me on the same book. And I will be more or less subject neutral, although somewhere computer science will come in by force of circumstance. A teacher of mathematics was deputed by UNESCO to teach in an African village. And he accepted the assignment, and then through his friends he tried to find out what is the level of the mathematics knowledge about the students whom I am going to teach. And he was told they are reasonably okay. So he said fine, because otherwise going from England to an African village was a bit of a challenge in his mind. So he was told it's okay. He went to the class, I think it was class 5, and he says, I have a room 20 by 20 meters, and I have tiles which measure 2 by 2 meters. How many tiles I will need to fill up this room? It's a pretty simple question. He asked everybody. Nobody raised hand to answer it. He was frustrated. He said, I was told the class is reasonably good in mathematics. And what's happening here? Nobody is answering me this question. He said, okay, if you don't know, come with me on the board, we'll solve it together. Well, nobody will make an effort. Then finally, when he was badly frustrated, one girl raised the hand. Yeah, he was very happy. Okay, there's some spark. He says, okay, come on, we'll solve the problem. He says, sir, we'll solve the problem, but please tell us first what is a tile. See, in that African village, nobody had ever seen a tile. And therefore, they could never understood the question. And then they found, in that village, the style was, they used to have round and round floors all the time, filled by RCC concretes and all that. And tiles were never used in that village. Now, will you categorize that class as bad mathematics? If you do that, then there is something wrong in our system. That class is not bad in mathematics, but we have not been able to recognize what is that they know. So this is a very simple example which makes me feel all the time we have to have two things in mind: what our students know, what we want our students to know at the end of the course. And our job is to measure that journey and to help them to travel that journey. If we are able to do that, we are an excellent institution. If we don't care for that, many a times people will tell me, sir, we get students from some other countries, they're bad in English. Well, even if they are, that's our constitution. And we have to handle it. We cannot say that and live with that. We'll have to find out how to do that, how to handle it. And quality means all this, that it has to be taken on. And also, friends, I will tell you, the way the teaching pedagogies have gone on for several years, I know most of it in India, but probably most of the developing countries, and particularly the SAARC countries, are more or less the same situation. I think about 25 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago, a big company like Wipro instituted a study, and they asked 12th class students of Delhi and Bombay, I'm not saying villages, 12th class students of Delhi and Bombay of good schools, what is the chemical formula of steam? Many of you are not from science background, but you know this much. What is the chemical formula of steam? And there were no answers at all. Wipro was awfully confused. This is what we are hiding from the market? If the best students don't answer this, they collected about 100 students in a room like this, and they said, let's discuss that. Don't you know the chemical formula of steam? I said, no. I said, okay. What's the chemical formula of water? Everybody says H2O. There's nothing to think about. When water boils, what happens? Everybody says steam. What is their class with this? Then they were asked, is boiling a physical process or a chemical process? Everybody said physical process. There's nothing to think about. Then they were asked, do the chemical properties change during a physical process? Everybody said no. Now everybody knows the answer to all these four questions. That water is H2O. When it boils, it becomes steam. Boiling is a physical process, and chemical properties do not change during a physical process. These four sentences are known to all our students, but still the chemical formula of steam is also there for H2O, is not worked out. That's the beauty of our academic system which has become. And then we talk about CGPA and this, that, because everything has become syllabus oriented, not outcome oriented. We are not caring about what the students should know. We only care about have they learned the syllabus. And there also, we care whether they have learned the syllabus the way I taught them. That's another very unfortunate dimension of the whole thing. And if they have not learned the way I taught them, then there is something wrong with them. I have a habit of building up small stories in the talk. Again, I have an interesting story here. They say that in an exam, this story they say is from USA. The children were asked, can you use the barometer to measure the height of a tall building? This is a very standard question of physics. And everybody knows that you take the barometer and measure the value of G and all that, and you will find that. One student who was, we have some students, and many a times this proctor and dean of students will tell me that so-and-so is a very notorious student. Now to find out the spark in that notorious student is also our challenge. So what student was, he said it's so simple. I will take a long rope, tie the barometer with the rope, go to the top of the building, hang the barometer down. When the barometer touches the ground, I will pull it up, then measure the length of the rope, and length of the rope is the height of the building. As simple as that. Examiner of physics awfully flabbergasted, what is this answer? He failed it. No, this is not the answer. He says, sir, how can you fail? You wanted to use a barometer, I used a barometer. You wanted me to give the correct height of the building, I have given you the correct height of the building. And where am I now? It's a very difficult situation. Student also was adamant, and as in such situations, buck stops to the president's office. They went to the president. So student doesn't agree. And the student says, sir, I have been failed unnecessarily. I have answered the question correctly. President felt in his heart of hearts that the student is right. But we in administration, pardon me, sometimes have a problem that senior has to be defended to the extent possible. So, and we have a solution in such situations. Okay, let's invite Professor Zia from Pakistan to solve this problem.
We should further complexify the situation.
So an expert was invited and he listened to the student and he said, student appears to be right. But anyway, he said, okay, tomorrow you will be examined again in physics. The student came and they gave me an answer book and all that. He said, where's the question paper? He said, you answered the same question which was asked in the examination. And you have half an hour to answer this. After about 25 minutes, the external expert found he has written nothing in the answer. He says, what happened? You are not writing anything. Don't you know the answer? He says, sir, I have a problem. What's the problem? He says, sir, I have about half a dozen solutions running here. And I do not know which one you like. Because you pass me only when you like the solution. You don't pass me on the correct solution. That's proven. You pass me only when you like the solution. So therefore, I don't know. How do I know which one you like? By that time, the external expert felt this boy is not something to be taken lightly. He says, okay, forget about the answer sheet, let's talk about it. He says, but you should also understand this is an exam in physics and physics must be demonstrated. He says, sir, is life solving problems of physics? Your problem was how to measure the height of a building with the help of a barometer, and I've given the correct answer. He says, but still physics. He says, if you are so touchy about physics, I'll go to the top of the building with the stopwatch in hand, throw the barometer down. When it strikes on the ground, I'll measure the time and then apply the physics formula, S is equal to ut plus RT square, which is a hardcore physics formula, and that will give the calculate the height of the building. The examiner and the original examiner were both perplexed what to do. Said, anything else? Sir, so many solutions. I'll keep the barometer by the side of the building on a sunny day, measure the two shadows, and by that, by ratio proportion, I can calculate the height of the building. Anything else? He says, sir, if you want. He says, if you don't want physics, then there are several answers. You go to the top of the building with a pencil in hand and keep on marking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you reach the top of the building, if you have gotten 11,674 marks, 1164 multiplied by the length of the parameter is the height of the building. Says, but don't you know the answer which your teacher expected? Sir, I know. Says, then, sir, I was just trying to find out. This teacher has been asking this question for last 10 years. And all 60 students are supposed to answer the same 11 lines. So I thought, let me try and think and give another correct answer. Choice is again with the teacher whether to accept the answer or not. My dear colleagues, that was the turning point of modern physics in the whole world, because student was Lord Moore and external examiner was Lord Rutherford. Now, if such a student would not have been encouraged, modern physics might have taken another 50 years to come to the place where it is. And if modern physics would have been late, electronics, computer science, artificial intelligence, all would have been late. So one crazy student can change the history of knowledge, and that is academic excellence. To recognize that student, to encourage that student, to make that student think constructively and positively, to discuss with him the solutions, that is the truly excellence journey. This kind of what I told you is the only solution, because this training that every problem has a solution is a very wrong training. I mean, me, Professor Zia, Sanjay Chaturvedi, everybody will know there are several problems which do not have a solution, and we live with such problems day in and day out. But we teach all the students by way of question paper that every question has a solution. In life, there are so many problems which do not have a solution, and our researchers particularly should be prepared for that. It's not possible all the time. And number one. Number two, most of the problems will have multiple solutions. That's again something which we don't accept in our examinations. Our examinations are so stereotyped. I mean, I say jokingly sometimes, if we ask to evaluate square root 5, we don't even stop there. We say evaluate square root 5 by Newton-Raphson method. Let him find square root 5 by whatever method he wishes to find. Why should I dictate the method? But we are so particular in making sure that he answers what I want him to answer. And that is killing the originality, creativity, innovation in all of our researchers to the extent it can. And therefore I am here today in the inaugural lecture of this Institution of South Asian Studies to make sure that via this institution we make sure that our students become more creative, become more innovative, become more problem solvers. They are not stuck to the rules in the book all the time, because the rules in the book is a very, very difficult situation. And that's always counter to excellence. I don't say don't follow the rules. Follow the rules, but have the guts to challenge the rules sometimes. Because if you don't have the courage to challenge the rules, change the rules sometime, challenge the rules sometime, then the journey of knowledge stops. I will give another example from Netflix. I think Netflix is my young students more than anyone else. Netflix is one of the most progressive companies in the world, has come up the fastest possible way. Their growth rate is one of the unprecedented. And they have come up with a book, No Rules, Rules Us. The title of the book is No Rules, Rule Us. Now, so what they are trying to say is we are able to grow so fast because we are not bound by rules to that extent. And then when I say all that, I don't say from tomorrow stop following any rules. What I am trying to say is sometimes you have to think beyond the present situation, beyond the present context. And they give a very interesting case study. I'm deviating from science now. There's a very interesting case study. The case study is, they had a rule that whenever an officer goes outside for work, he can hire a cab and charge the actuals. Makes sense? The accounts office was very right in saying that whenever you go out, you can hire a cab if you need to and charge the bill. Look to be fancy room, look to be nice room. But then somebody said, I want to take my own car, or I want to rent a car, which is the system in most of the other countries. In our country it's still new, but it has started. Then some accounts officers again debated together and they said, okay, if some officer wants to rent a car, it should be allowed and we will pay the rental charges. Then another smart accounts officer came, he read the two rules. He said both rules are independently right, but then he wrote a third rule. You can charge the rent of the car or you can charge the taxi, but not both. Now look to be very sensible. Either you charge the rent of the car or you charge the taxi charges, but not both. Looked fancy, looked very correct. An officer, senior officer, went outside and he was to attend a meeting about 100 miles away. And in the evening he decided to host a dinner. Now in America the rules are very strict. If you drive drunk, anything can happen. And when he was hosting the dinner, he had to offer drinks to the clients. And offering drinks to the clients means he will have to also take it. So he knew if he rents a car, he will not be able to drive it in the evening because that will be against the law. And so therefore the solution is to rent a car. But if he rents a car for the morning meeting also, going 100 miles and coming 100 miles, the rent will be hopelessly very high. Hire a cab. But if you go the cab in the morning, 100 miles and 100 miles, that will be terrific. So if he uses a cab, he pays horrible in the morning meeting. And if he rents a car, in the morning he pays very heavy. In the evening he can't use it. So he went back, he rented the car for the morning meeting and used the cab for the evening meeting. When he went back and gave the bill, accounts officers are very smart and most of you will be feeling sometimes the pinch of the accounts officers all the time. They are trained that. So he said the rule says you can do either of the two but not both. So we can't pass it. He says, but try to understand me. If I had hired I could not rent a car for the evening, that's foregone, because I had to treat the customers. And if I could have taken the cab in the morning also, it would cost the Netflix too much. So that's fine. Rule says you can do either A or B but not both. It took a company like Netflix, which is the most progressive company in the world, 3 months to resolve this issue. And final resolution was senior officers can take a decision whatever they think is in the best interest of Netflix. Period. No rules were prescribed, and finally it was only said how you travel when you go outside. Keep the interest of Netflix in mind and do whatever you think is proper. Now that's the only rule in Netflix as far as claiming TAD is concerned. So why I'm trying to tell you this is that sometimes getting the rule changed is also in the interest of the institution and it helps. Therefore, and research always moves ahead when we challenge the president. One of the professor colleagues in USA told me, sir, when Indian students come for PhD, we are so happy. And you can see many US universities prefer Indian students and students from this region because they are very hard working. But sir, we have one problem. I said, what? Says for 6 months they don't agree to challenge their seniors. Because we all the time teach them, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. He says, well, I have done some research. Now if my student doesn't challenge my research, how do we go ahead? How do we move ahead? And therefore the best method of research is to start challenging the existing knowledge. Now if you don't challenge the existing knowledge, the knowledge doesn't go ahead. Knowledge goes ahead only when we challenge it and then improve upon it and so on and so forth. We take at least 6 months to teach your students that challenging the seniors is not a disobedience, is not a disrespect. It's only one of the methods of taking the institution forward, taking the knowledge ahead, taking the universe ahead, because unless that is done, academic excellence doesn't come in. I also remember that academic excellence is very, very contextual thing. You cannot have a formula for this. You know, in the war, the planes, fighter planes, go to each other's country and they get shot and they come back. A lot of damage is done in all wars. So they felt, can we reduce this damage? A team of scientists was hired and they found that if we can put a protective layer on the plane, then probably the damage to the planes can be reduced. Makes some sense. But you can't put the protective layer over the whole plane because that will mean too much extra weight. So they think in some area of the plane we can put the protective layer. We can put the protective layer on some part of the plane, but not the whole plane. Now, which is that some part on which we should put it? A group of senior scientists get together and they said, okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is everything looks perfect in the first instance. And then you go deeper and find where is the problem. And they said, let's analyze some of the planes which have come back and where they are damaged. And that will give us an idea of where to put the protective layer. Looks very nice research. They analyzed the planes and found that most of them had bullet holes at the rear end of the plane. Now, research is an observation. So most of the planes have bullet holes at the rear end and therefore something should be done at the rear end. So let's put protective layer at the rear end of the plane. That will reduce the damage. It was a foregone researched conclusion based on evidence which you collect by field surveys and things like that. And then some senior intelligent person walks in and he says, you have analyzed only those planes which have come back. You have not been able to see the planes which could not even come back. That's the real problem. Those who were hit in the front could not even come back. So the real sensitive area still is the front of the plane, not the rear of the plane. Now why I am trying to tell this to young researchers is, your field surveys may tell you something at times. If you don't use the brain also along with the surveys, then you will never go to excellence. You will go to excellence only and only when the data is combined with intelligence. That is why today data science and artificial intelligence goes together all the time, because artificial intelligence was considered a useless subject till data science was there. But now, because data alone doesn't help us, and intelligence alone also doesn't help us at times, we need both to put together on the journey of excellence. And otherwise, scanned alone, everything looks all right. I was chief guest at a conference in Germany before the Germany was unified, 40 years ago maybe. So I was invited by the East Germany, which was a communist country at the time. And when the vice chancellor, because I was the state guest, the chief guest, so they were taking a royal care for whatever. So vice chancellor was taking me around the roads of Dresden town where I was staying. And I found even highways, state highways, were made of stone and bricks, not of coal tar. 40 years ago, but still, when we had all the bitumen roads in this country and all other countries, they had stone and all that. I said, Mr. Fisher, your tires of the cars must be going away very soon because of these roads. He said, yes, Professor Aggarwal, we know. I said, if you know, then why the hell you are doing it? Why are you not making better roads? He says, Professor Aggarwal, we know it, but tires are made in Germany, bitumen has to be imported from USA. So we don't mind spending on the tires more frequently, but save on the products. Now, no scientist will agree with this solution. People like me who are immersed in science will fail this solution. But as a country, they had a solution. We suited their country. So my dear friends, solutions to problems has to be in the context of what you are really looking at, what you are really trying to find. Absolute solution in the books may not work at times. When I was Vice Chancellor of IP University, a bookseller came to me with very great enthusiasm. He said, sir, your management teachers teach case studies, which is a very famous method of teaching, particularly in management. So what I have done is, I have compiled so many good case studies in this single book that will help the teachers. I said, good. Then while we were having tea, he said, sir, further, I have given solutions to all these case studies at the end of the book. I said, you killed the book. If these solutions are also published, then case study doesn't remain a case study. Case study is a case study only and only if solutions have to be searched, if solutions have to be thought, if solutions has to be found out. So you have killed your book, but wish you best of luck if others don't realize it. So what I am trying to say to young researchers and my faculty, young researchers also, that we do research, but keep in mind our end objectives. Keep in mind what we really wish to do, and that will always lead to a better research. Otherwise, buzzwords of innovation, creativity, all that is fine. That way I read a very interesting piece of study. This is, all of you have read Thirsty Crow in 4th class. He says probably Thirsty Crow was the most innovative person in the world. There has been no better innovation than that Thirsty Crow, who could drink water without any knowledge of science and be a very innovative solution. Had there been an engineer deputed to solve that problem, he says, okay, I'll bring a pump, put it at the bottom of the glass and pump the water up so that the crow would drink. By that time, crow will die of thirst. And if a medical doctor was asked to perform some surgery, elongate the beak of the crow, and then he will be able to. By that time, also crow will die. But crow found a solution. That's innovation. You have to find a solution which doesn't appear to be a solution many a times. And let me assure you, many very complex problems have very simple solutions. Unfortunately, what we believe is that complex problems always have complex solutions. And our researchers are unfortunately trained in trying to find the most complicated method of writing paper. A paper which requires 2 equations, they will try to write 35 equations so that the paper is accepted by the referee. He will not understand 35 equations. We make the research papers more and more complicated for whatever reason, which is not required. That has become a trend of the research. But many problems, I know for my experience, have very simple solutions, and we have to go ahead with that. And for that, I believe the stage has come in the world where it's not very extremely important what subject, what syllabus are to study. What is more important is how you are studying, how you are developing your mindset. Development of mindset is more important than preparing for the examinations. Don't misunderstand me, I am not trying to unteach what most of the teachers teach, but I would like you to supplement it with whatever you have been doing it, because life for you is 50 years more than today. And the rate of expansion of knowledge, in 1950, the knowledge used to expand, become double in 50 years. Today the knowledge is doubling in less than 50 days. If that kind of rate of explosion of knowledge, you cannot go by foolish knowledge, you cannot go by existing knowledge, it will fail. If you want to succeed in life, you will have to make sure that your rate of growth has to be fast. Not only growth, but rate of growth has to be fast. And again, a beautiful quote came across my way. He said, unless you understand the principles of compound interest, you can never become wealthy. Simple interest never makes you wealthy. It's the compound interest which makes you wealthy. Same is true about knowledge. If you go by simple knowledge, paper 1, pass, paper 2, फिर उसकी किताब भी ऊपर स्टोर कर दो, and so on and so forth. That will not make you what you wish to become. And if you really want to become a good researcher, taking your profession to excellence, taking this university to excellence, you will have to make sure that you learn how to learn fast and how to learn new things every day. That's the journey to excellence. And for that, you have to learn some attributes, not the content that much. And when I say attribute, there are several things which should become your mindset. Quality is one of them. Do everything keeping in mind quality. When I was Vice Chancellor, I gave a theory which I said is a 3H theory, that you must learn to use head, heart and hands together. Unless you learn to use head, heart and hands together, you really don't become a good professional. And then later on I added one more edge to this, that's habit. The quality must become your habit. Creativity must become your habit. Not a course on creativity, not a course in quality, but a mindset of quality, the mindset of habit. That is a must for the journey to excellence. For that, some of the things which I thought I will still have to use. One is, there was a time when people were happy using either their left half brain or using their right half brain. If you wanted to be a mathematician, if you wanted to be a scientist, use your left half brain and you will make a good research career, good salary and everything. And if you wanted to become a dancer, you wanted to become a musician, you wanted to become a painter, then use your right half brain, it will be fine. A stage has come where neither left hand nor right hand will give you that respectable professional status which you want to achieve. Today you must learn to use both halves of the brain equally effectively, if not equally effectively, as much as possible. Because unless you do that, because logic and creativity will have to be done together. The arts and science will have to march. That is where the theory of liberal arts. Today, many good universities are trying to shift to liberal arts. I am a scientist, but I do believe we gave too much emphasis on engineering in this part of the world at least. USA never gave that much emphasis on engineering as we in SAR countries gave. For us, engineering and medicine were the only two professions. Everything else was gone. And that has killed much of creativity in our countries which were inherently very creative. And by virtue of our not understanding the things, we have tried to make everybody a scientist, everybody a mathematician, everybody a logician, and thereby killing creativity. So much so, I think many of you will see, if there is a child which is left-handed, Parents would beat him up. Why are you eating with left hand? And finally, the poor fellow will learn to become half-handed, right-hander, something. Now the science proves that left hand controls right half of your brain and right hand controls left half of your brain. So right-handed children are possibly very good in left-hand brain, logical, objective, scientist, but left-handed could be very creative. And God has His own designs. He knew that the world will need about 10% creative people, and therefore He produced about 10% left-handers, but we, lack of knowledge, we try to kill them out. And we killed creativity and innovation in the process. And I jokingly told a management convocation, I said, first of all, we made sure that our schools kill all the creativity. Then in the management colleges, we pay again to restore communication skills, to restore collaborative working, to restore all these things which God had given to a child. Tell me, all of you must have seen a newborn in the family. Does he not communicate on minute one? The child can communicate with the mother the time he is born. He doesn't know any language, but he can communicate. Growing a little bigger, he can communicate with the father without a word spoken. Then when he starts speaking a little, he can communicate. You take him on transfer to any state, he learns the language of that state faster than the parents. Parents have never learned the language of other state, but the children have. God had made children to be very fast learners, very good communication skills, non-verbal communication. Today you pay for courses to learn non-verbal communication. Is every child not a non-verbal communicator? They are. They are able to communicate everything without speaking. Similarly, courage of conviction. You let a child go out to play. He doesn't ask who will be my team players. He goes to the ground and whichever children are there, he starts playing with them. You will first ask us, मेरा guide कौन होगा, मेरा project mate कौन होगा, मेरा roommate कौन होगा. Then you will decide whether I can work in this team or not. That's not the nature designed for. Nature designed that you should be able to fit into any team which comes your way. That's clear from the life of every child. So that's where I say, you first pay in your schools to kill the creativity, then to pay in your colleges to recreate some of those things by calling finishing schools or soft skills or life skills or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is, if you talk about excellence, today you have to learn to bring the left hand and the right hand brain together. Individual subjects will remain important, but not that important. And the examples which I give occasionally are one of the largest computer companies, Google, to which you all know because I think all of you spent at least 6 hours a day on Google. But and it's one of the largest computer companies. And head of Google also you know is Sundar Pichai, who is an Indian. We are proud of him. And he's not a computer engineer. He's not even an electronics engineer. He's not an electrical engineer. He is not a mathematician. He has no subject which is close to computer science. He is a hardcore metallurgical engineer, which has nothing to do with computer science. What I am trying to say is, if you have these attributes right, then you can always grow in any subject which comes your way in life, and that's the excellence. Because subjects will not stay. When we started our careers, normally we used to join a job and retire from that job. Today's youngsters, it is now statistically proven, change about 10 professions during the lifespan. So you do serve about 40-45 years, and in this you normally change about 10 jobs. That's the statistic. And these 10 jobs may not have anything to do with each other. I mean, today MBA graduates, Today they may be selling watches, tomorrow they may be selling airplanes. And that is what they have to do. And if you have to train the growth of knowledge in that direction, then for that excellence, the traits will be more important than the subjects. CGPA will be important, but more important will be these attributes. First division, second division will remain important for few more years maybe, but ultimately how do you acquire knowledge and have you learned how to acquire knowledge will be more important. That will have to be kept in mind. So, and also learn that failure is a part of life. Do not be so much depressed if your experiment fails in the laboratory. It doesn't matter. It will fail sometimes. Edison, when inventing electric bulb, failed 2,834 times. He used to try one material, bulb doesn't work. Another material doesn't work. One of his associates said, "Sir, we have failed 2,834 times. How many times more you want us to fail?" He says, "Still we succeed." And then he says, "My dear friend, we have not failed. We have made the world much richer by documenting that no other scientist should try these 234 materials to invent an electric bulb." That's a great knowledge which we have given to the world, saving the time of so many scientists to make sure. So failure is a part of life, and which failure leads to which success, nobody knows. And there have been several case studies in the world where so-called failure has resulted in the best success. A few of them, I think a chemistry professor was mixing two materials in the evening and he forgot to clean the apparatus before going home. The lab attendant in the morning thought, okay, this stick on which some chemical is stuck and the beaker in which some chemical is there, let me clean it. When he was cleaning the beaker with a stick, the fire exploded, fire came out. And the lab attendant was shocked. Now I will be thrown out of the job because I have created a fire in the lab. And that led to the invention of matchstick. That these two materials, when rubbed together, can produce fire. And that is the entire history of matchstick, which came up to be so many billions of dollars of commercialization. There was a scientist who thought of meeting his girlfriend in the evening, and he put a chocolate in the pocket as is expected. And during the day when he was working in the lab, the chocolate melted and entire his tower was spoiled. Meeting a girlfriend with a spoiled tower, but that was his luck that day. And later on he discovered this chocolate is melted because of the heat in the microwave lab. And the microwave oven was invented. By this sheer accident or incident, the microwave oven was invented. There is a source which can produce heat out of the radiation. So there are many researches which have come out of observation, which have come out of intelligent thinking, which have come out of intelligent experimentation. And my request would be, keep that on the top of your mind, that observe things, analyze things, try to learn from all observations, try to learn from nature as much as you can. This is one more problem which we have developed in so-called developed world, that we are running away from the nature. We still have too much to learn from the nature. We still have much little knowledge than the nature can teach us, and we have to go in that direction. I again remember in a university abroad, there is a large campus, and in every university is proud of saying that we have a beautiful campus, we have so many trees of this. And they teach that to the students, nothing wrong here. And the students forget it after a couple of years, that's also better. That university asked their students to come wearing white socks one Sunday to the university. When they came, they said, okay, remove your shoes, keep the socks on, and walk on the pavements in the university. After 2 hours, when they came back, okay, now without wearing your shoes, remove your socks, put it under the microscope, and then see what seeds are stuck to your socks. This is famously called white socks experiment in the history of knowledge. And that knowledge which the students saw the seeds in the campus under the microscope in their own eyes, they have not forgotten all their life what their university campus had. Because the way to teach, the way to learn was much different than what it should be. So friends, I think Mr. Sanjay Chaturvedi asked me to talk for an hour. I have done an hour, and I repeat and summarize. We will be on the road to excellence, provided you just learn to shift the gears a little bit. Syllabus is important, exams is important, research publications are important, patents is important, everything is important. But more important than all this is curiosity. Urge to ask questions, urge to find new answers. And I stop by telling one last story. One Nobel laureate, Rabi, in 1943, he got the Nobel Prize in Physics. And as usual, when you get such a good prize, the media person will surround you. They surrounded him and they said, Mr. Rabi, whom will you give credit for your Nobel Prize? It's a very typical media question. He said, my mother. I said, sir, is your mother a physicist? He said, no. Is she a scientist? She doesn't even know what science is. Then how do you give credit to your mother for your Nobel Prize? He says, when we children used to come from the school every day, every mother would ask the child, as is usual, what did you learn at the school? Which is common. He says, my mother would ask me, did you ask a good question from a teacher? He says, habit with my mother was that whenever I used to come from the school, she would ask me, did you ask a good question from a teacher today? He says, that made me work every evening to search a good question, so that I can ask next day in the class, impress my teachers, impress my mother, and that made me a good question seeker. And that gave me the Nobel Prize, because I became curious to then find the answers to those questions. So my dear students, answering the questions by the teachers in examinations is very important. Do that very well. But asking questions is equally important for the knowledge to grow. And if I use the mathematical language, they say knowledge will grow linearly by answers. Knowledge will grow exponentially by questions. And if you want rapid growth of knowledge, you have to have asked questions. And then I followed it up by a study by a psychologist who had found that a child of three asks on the average 73 questions per day. My goodness, it's so difficult to believe, but he researches and proved 73 questions per day. Most of these questions will be very trivial. Mama, why don't you want me to touch the fire? Why don't you allow me to play with a knife? Well, there will be trivial questions, but 73 questions per day. And I'm wondering, with an academic of so much standing, do we allow 73 questions all through the examination, right from school to the PhD? Probably not. So friends, make this a habit, make some of these attributes as a habit, and journey of excellence is yours. You have a right to the journey. You don't need any tickets to buy for that journey. It's your right, and by virtue of the fact that you are a part of SCU, I assure you of that journey for as long as you are in SCU, will allow you that journey. no charges, no questions asked, but believe in that journey for you, for yourself, for as you, and for the world as a whole. That is the lesson which I convey for academic excellence, and hope and wish that this university and this Institution of South Asian Studies will be able to inculcate some of these things in you, the faculty, the students, and through you to the next generation of students, and maybe through this lecture to several other universities in the world, and we take the world much faster, much forward than what it is. That's our duty as a university, and we will do with the help of all of you. Wish you all the very best. And thank you.
Honourable President, Professor Aggarwal, what a wonderful, insightful talk you actually delivered. Excellent board, and lots of lessons to learn from, honestly. The words of wisdom you shared with the fellow colleagues and the students, including myself, honestly, it was really very informative and very insightful. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing these thoughts and providing new kind of words of advice to the teachers, the professors, the faculty members who are engaged in imparting knowledge to these bright boys and girls who are enrolled at the CU, and especially the research students. And an interesting idea, this 4H idea. That says everything. You can only create, you can do differently if your heart and mind work together. If you're doing something which you are really passionate of doing, but you really feel that you really want to do it, and unless that passion is there, you cannot really create new things, you cannot create new knowledge. You should not be expecting wonders coming out of the institution in the form of these graduating students unless the teachers, we the teachers, actually really engage ourselves into this whole insightful way forward of producing the graduates which are globally competitive, which are creative, which are innovative, and who has this courage to ask the questions as well. But Professor Aggarwal, you might have experienced as well. It's honestly difficult to face this generation of students in these days. They are very informative, they are very knowledgeable, honestly, and the faculty has to be really given the opportunity to update their knowledge base as well on daily basis, on every moment, at every moment of their professional responsibilities, so that they can really then provide better answers, or at least can bring in that flame of inquisitiveness into the minds of these boys and girls who are sitting in the class to seek knowledge from them. And that's a big responsibility, and that's what we are called the professors. We profess. We, as teachers, actually provide the life skills to these graduating students, and that life skill is not merely, as you rightly said, sir, the subject knowledge that necessarily is required to be really imparted, to be given to these students who enroll in the respective degree programs. The more important is how far you could be different, you can be different from others who are graduating from different universities. And being different from others not really requires good grades, good CGPAs, or maybe good standings in your academic careers. It's more about how much you really are creative and innovative when it comes to really addressing the challenges you are confronted with when you start your careers. And finally, a few words only, sir, for the university. I take only few minutes with your permission. It's honestly a dream when you see a university growing, which is established with the patronage and the consent of concurrence of the member states of the South region. And probably this is one of its kind, an example of an institution which is established, which provides a natural opportunity or an inherent opportunity of embedding in diversity into the academic culture of the university. And the diversity is the best anyway teacher in itself. People coming from different academic backgrounds, whether they are students or faculty members or the administration staff. That diversity creates a learning environment which has no comparison, honestly. There are a few examples. I was talking to the president the other day as well, where we have this Erasmus Mobility program. The students do visit different institutions and register courses in different universities, but they stay in those universities for a specific period of time, or they register a course there. I do not find any example in these 36 years of my career where I could find a university with such an objective. So make best use of this whole setup. Students as well, they'll find a conducive learning environment where they'll actually form friendships between amongst themselves when people coming from, or the students coming from different regions are sitting at SCU. And that friendship actually then spreads horizontally a message of friendship, love, and harmony amongst the member countries as well, which is badly needed in this region, honestly. And secondly, the problems we actually face every day in our socio-economic or socio-political arenas are almost similar in all member countries as well. So with this diversity and the faculty coming from all these countries as well, and the students coming from these countries as well, they are actually the best place to incubate the ideas so that the problems can be solved through indigenous problem-solving approaches, through the data which is generated from this region and is intelligently analyzed, and resultantly we can provide the solution to the problems we normally come across and face. The people living in this region actually are facing those challenges, and the best way of contributing and giving back to the society, giving back to the humanity, and giving back to your countries is contribute to really bring the lives better, or to make the lives better of the people living in this region. And I'm looking forward to, sir, your further guidance, and a leadership role to further excel and further improve the academic and research standards of this university. And I'm pretty sure that under your able guidance and leadership, these targets can be well achieved. And as you were saying, quality is something I was even talking to Vijay this afternoon, that when we talk about quality with the academics in the universities, especially in the Western world, they say, who you are really to tell me I should really be mindful of observing certain academic or research standards to improve the quality, because it is actually embedded into the systems, into their lives, into their habits. That's why it just happens when they actually carry out their responsibilities or dispense their responsibilities. And that's something which we all, the academics, are to really be mindful of while discharging our responsibilities as teachers. And let's create that ecosystem constituted by the faculty members, the learners, and we, the administrators. Honestly, we come in the last stage actually. The faculty is the most important component. The learners, the students for whom these institutions are actually established and created, they are the two most important entities. And we, the administrators, are only entrusted with the responsibility of creating a conducive workplace which can really then be extended to these two important entities for achieving the objectives of creating those institutions. I'm grateful to sir, to you, especially to your good self, sir, for actually providing me an opportunity to visit India for the first time in these 56 years of my life, and visiting the institution as well, sir. Rest assured, sir, any support in my current capacity as representing my country as chair of the governing board, or as a teacher belonging to this community of teachers, rest assured, sir, that support shall be really available to the institution. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Kayum. Can I now invite Professor Sanjay Chaturvedi to present a souvenir to Professor Kayum?
I'll be holding a honorable president. Thank you.
My task is not easy. How do I propose a vote of thanks, a formal vote of thanks for such a special occasion, where we've actually had the opportunity to have the inaugural lecture by our very own president, Professor K.K. Aggarwal, and a very, very special occasion for us because this particular moment was chaired by Professor Kayum, the chairperson of the governing board, SAU. I think, as I said, it is indeed very special, and we do hope to continue this engagement further ahead in the years to come. Any event would not be possible without the person who is leading it, which is Professor Sanjay Chaturvedi, Director ISAS. Thank you so much, sir, for bringing us all together. I'd like to extend our very sincere gratitude to our Vice President, Professor Senthil, our Registrar, Professor Abulish, all the deans, chairpersons, faculty members, all of you young students who are really a part of us and who make us going. This event would not have been possible without a team, a very dedicated team of volunteers from the Department of International Relations, and I request all of you to please give a big round of applause for our 6 volunteers. Vaina Karma, Vidisha Dekha, M. Vinayak, Harsh Yadav, Ankit and Sahu. Ankit Sahu, thank you once again. Thank you, the IT section, Dr. Yadav, our Public Relations Officer, Jyoti and Aman from the Department of IR. And thank you once again, and look forward to the next lecture, sir, very soon. Please join us for high tea, just outside, and many thank you once again.